Welcome to the Empire Life podcast. I'm Allison Ramsey, your host, and I'm also the founder of Empire Life, tech and digital marketing company, and we scale female founders' online empires. And today I'm interviewing and hosting our special guest, Rochelle Ruby. She's an online course coach, and she told me she's ready to dive right in. So since the moment that I met Rochelle, I was wanting to have her on the podcast and wanting to support each other. And I feel the same kind of frequency and vibe from her. And I'm very grateful to have her on today. And I'm going to go ahead and dive right in the first question, Rochelle. What are some challenges you've overcome in your life? And what did you overcome in these? And what did you think was the benefit and how it made you stronger? So it's kind of threefold. You can take a second to process or go ahead and answer one of them.
Well, first, I'm super excited that I'm here. This is super fun. What challenges have I overcome? Gosh, like it's been a long life. There's been a lot of challenges. One of the biggest challenges I had is it's not really embarrassing, but it kind of is. I wet the bed from like all the way till I was 16 years old. I'm like just gonna come right out there and say like,
I really appreciate your transparency.
Yeah, it was like every night, sometimes multiple times a night. I'd get up, or my mom would wake me up, and we'd change the sheets, and it would just happen again. Like it was like a constant, and we tried all of these things, and it really impacted how I viewed myself and how I viewed my body, and it impacted relationships that I had with people, like friends and stuff. Like everybody was sleeping over. Slumber parties were a thing that I couldn't participate in, or and if I did,
go and leave early because you were.
Sometimes I would go and leave early, but that was actually harder for me. It was more embarrassing to come up with fake reasons why I had to leave, and sometimes I would try to go anyway, or try to sleep over anyway, or my mom would tell the parent, and so we would try to make it discreet. But how do you cover up that? I even went to like this sleepaway camp thing that we had 5th grade, and my mom was like, "Here, wear these diapers." I'm in freaking 5th grade. Here, wear these Depends. And I was like, I'm not putting these on. How am I going to put these on? This is so embarrassing. And like the first night I did wet the bed, the second night, it was like terrible. So I had to tell the little camp person. And then what did she do? We went to activities, and she put my mattress out in front of the cabin to like
dry it out
for the entire camp to see. And she's like, no, there was ants on the mattress. Ants on a mattress? Really? You could have found a discreet place. Anyway, it was just mortifying. So
that is mortifying.
Yeah. So then I had to spend like weeks afterwards being like, no, I didn't wet the bed. No. It was just really, really traumatizing. And I just felt, and going on, I was on top of that, I was like bullied in all of middle school, and then when I got to high school, I already felt pretty, I was still wet in the bed going into high school, and I felt really, I had very low self-worth. I just felt like I was pretty lame, and so I would just take whatever scraps anybody like, oh yeah, sure, we'll be your friend, Rochelle. And so it'd be like, oh, you do drugs? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll be your friend. Even if they weren't necessarily the best friend, or they were like really mean to me. And I would just be like, I'll take it because this is all I'm worthy of, or this is all I can get. I didn't really like consciously think that.
Of course, reflecting.
Back then,
reflecting.
Yeah, reflecting. Mm-hmm. It's like, gosh. And so I don't know like I don't ever really feel like I overcame it until I was able to reflect back and acknowledge the deep pain that I experienced, and all the ways that it impacted me and how I perceive myself. And so it was like in my 30s where I was finally able to process it and deal with it. But but over the years, I do think it really shaped me um as a better person. And because when I have the ability now to see people in their pain, or see people um be way more empathetic and encouraging and supporting, like, of those people that are unseen, or the underdogs, or the people that are just, I guess, suffering or in pain, where
I
I can
feel
just,
those people are easy to judge for a lot of other people too.
yeah,
They
and
kind
those are the
of push
people that
their
I just,
nose up and like,
yeah,
oh,
and I
I'm
just
superior
love
to
them.
you because
Yeah,
I don't go through that,
right, which
and
is all
so
ridiculous.
it's so ridiculous. You have the ability to be on their level, or
Yeah, and
there's
just
really no
see them and to
level.
love them. Yeah,
Just
there's
to
no level. Just
Yeah, there's
love
no
them and
level.
see them
Mhm.
as who they are, and just be really like, I so a lot of the things that drives me in my business and my personal life, and then in relationships, is, and just even like just some random person in the grocery store, is I just want everybody to see how freaking amazing they are, what
Mhm.
value they provide, how important they are. Like, we need you, we love you, you're lovable, you're amazing. And so I think that my wetting the bed, or the bullying, and all the other stuff, that all the other challenges that I went through growing up and as an adult, has just really helped me be a more empathetic, loving person,
Mm.
to feel that way, and to be so passionate about, oh my gosh, come on, people. The only
Yes.
way for us all to be better is to help other people. Like, that's why I love what you do, Allison, because you're just like,
Aw.
we rise together. I'm like, that is
Yes.
exactly, yes. There's no other
Yes.
way. There's no
There's
other way
no
to
other
rise.
way.
Yeah.
There's a great quote. I don't remember exactly how it goes. It's like the candle burners, the light holders, the misfits, the rebels, the fringers. They're all of the, it keeps going. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, those are my people. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I talk to.
Yeah. I
That
love it. That's
those are
beautiful.
those are the people that are questioning what's really going on and probably have a lot of good insight on. We can all have a lot of good insight. I'm
Yeah.
saying sometimes what I've noticed too, with what you just shared, and thank you for being so open, is when you feel somewhat of an outsider, or rebel, or misfit, or oh my gosh, I'm questioning too much, or I don't quite fit this
Mm-hmm.
square, or for whichever reason, it's easy to get pushed more to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But to even because we are feeling that way, and then other people think that they have a right to judge, or maybe don't have empathy or compassion, and then we feel we're just getting pushed more
Mm-hmm.
to the outside and to the outside and to the outside, and not really in the inner circle, or the cool
Yeah.
kids, or however we want to classify those kids, which have their own issues too. And like, I
Yeah.
never met a middle schooler or a high schooler that didn't have something that was going on at home that was
Right.
disturbing to them, or
Right.
confidence confidence issues, something going on with
Yeah.
them, that once I understood a lot of times what they were going through, and
Mm-hmm.
luckily they felt comfortable. A lot of times they would feel comfortable to tell me. I'd be like, wow, that's very unseen. Like, you would never imagine how much they were going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes you feel, when we start to realize everybody's going through something,
Mm-hmm.
we start to say, wow, I'm grateful for what I'm going through, or
Mm-hmm.
what my lesson has been teaching me, because we're all having lessons
Right.
globally and going through challenges that are going to help us to rise together, be stronger, or have the
Mm-hmm.
wisdom later to bestow on someone next to us, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree.
How do you feel like you were able to overcome those at the end, at the end of that, those
At the
lessons,
end
that
of
they made
that,
you stronger?
it
Through
made me
having
strong.
empathy and compassion for yourself?
Yes, I've learned to view myself differently, to just look back at young Rochelle and be like, oh my gosh, you sweet, sweet thing, and
Mm,
love her. And I've been able to be more like love my body, be accepting of it, that it didn't do anything wrong to me. Um, and it wasn't anything that I did or didn't do correctly to make it behave such in, what the bed or whatever. And I have done a lot of work on forgiving myself, letting things go, being really appreciative and grateful for who I am, for and recognizing those lessons, recognizing all the many lessons and opportunities of growth, and how it's shaped me and how I've been able to use it as tools has all helped me to do that. So now, now when I look back on it, that time period of those challenges, they don't have that emotional impact on me anymore. Like I can kind of be like, like, like I don't have, there's not any of this,
there's no
oh,
heaviness
there's
anymore.
no
It feels
heaviness. I'm
like
like, what
it
is
feels
the
light.
word? I can act it out for you.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it
Yeah.
when you're talking also. It feels light for you, and there's
Yeah.
there's not any connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that when I no longer cry or get choked up when I'm telling a story and then about
Yeah.
something that happened for me, and that's when I realize, oh, I've actually processed this and I've really
Yeah.
let go of any kind of emotional attachments to it because of processing and
Yeah.
analyzing and feeling all the feelings related to it, and now can actually talk about it. And then some things you start talking about and you do get choked up about, you're like, oh, I didn't
Mhm.
even realize that this was so intense for me. Oh,
Right.
this is something I need to explore.
Yeah. I've had a couple of those. Where you're just like talking about it, like, oh, 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 what's happening? I guess I need to talk about this.
Yeah, my throat's closing up and I really need to get this out.
Yeah. But it feels really good when you can recognize that you have processed something. I was just earlier this morning, I was talking to a friend and we were talking about, because I also have ADHD, and growing up, I was always labeled lazy. I wasn't diagnosed until I was an adult that I had ADHD. But so all this time I was labeled all these things, that classic labels for ADHD, people with ADHD. And it was really hurtful and really impactful. And it really affected, how I saw myself and how I behaved. And I was like, oh, I guess I am lazy. But now I can, and it had that where you're just like choked up, like, oh my gosh, people think I'm this terrible lazy person. Now I'm just like, that's hysterical that anybody ever thought I was lazy. Like I'm the exact opposite of lazy, where it has no, and it feels so good when you have those moments, like you're saying, you're like, I have worked through this, I've healed from this, I've let this go. It's lovely.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best feeling. Yes. I want to move on to the next one.
Yeah, sorry.
I was also thinking about, what do you do when you feel like, I wanted to skip the morning routine one and go right to number 3. Like, what do you do when you feel any resistance coming up?
That's funny. Well, first I kind of wallow in it. Let's be
Let's be
fully,
real. Yeah, me
let's be
too.
real. Let's be real. Sometimes I get in my resistance and I just kind of like, "Whoa, let it take me for a ride, and wallow in it. And sometimes it takes me a minute to be like, okay, Rochelle, let's talk about what's really happening right now. And so sometimes I think it's okay to feel your feels and feel it. But then then afterwards, I kind of, what do I do? Geez, I guess it depends on what that resistance would be about. In the moment, sometimes I'll talk myself through it. Sometimes I'll just redirect my attention to something, work on, maybe I try to check in with myself. Okay, what's going on? What's the real story here? Why am I feeling this resistance? What are the thoughts I'm having? What are the feelings I'm having? What are some solutions? I try to get myself to be solution oriented, because I can kind of get stuck in this whirlwind vortex of chaotic feeling and thinking. So I just try to like, okay, how can we clear this? And so sometimes I need to just get away from whatever it is, whether it be nurturing myself. Do I just need to be out in nature, go on a walk? Do I need some me time? Do I need to just dance and be really goofy and weird looking, or or get creative or do something else? Or do I just need to like push through? So I really just try to, bottom line, I just try to clear the decks, kind of a thing, really get to the heart of what's going on, and then nurture myself in whatever way feels the best for me, in that moment, and just try whatever tactic has worked for me, or try something else, or reach out to a friend and be like,
yeah,
talk me through this.
Yeah, they get some feedback maybe from
Yeah.
them, like, am I this? Am I reacting this way? Is there something else I'm not seeing here? And you
Yeah.
get all the angles, and
Yeah.
then pierce through the clouds and find clarity. I love that.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like you handle negativity, Rochelle?
How do I think it's funny. I laugh at each question.
It's kind of like on the
hysterical.
same line.
I
was
guess
gonna say similar.
negativity, if I'm feeling negativity from myself, like negative thoughts or whatnot, I try to stop the thought, or find out what the root of the thought is, kind of figure out what's going on there. Gratitude really helps me shift very quickly. Just I just start talking, whatever, like start listing off a bajillion things I'm grateful for, or think about why I'm grateful, or send grateful feelings and love and appreciation towards that idea, thing, person, whatever, or to as many as I can, until I'm started to feel that shift. And then I just keep going until it really amps me up. And I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm singing with the birds, So, and that to me will shift me really quickly. And then it's also a really non-resistant way for me to shift, because I have so much to be grateful for, and I have so many things, and I love to appreciate those things. So it's a really enjoyable way for me to do it. And it has really lasting effects. But if I'm like experiencing negativity from others, like if I'm around negative minded people, I really, I'm not the best. I'll be honest. I have a hard time. Like sometimes I'll try to just like avoid them. I'll be like, I'm gonna put a boundary here that I can't be around this person. But that I need to work on that, because I can definitely take on people's negative energy. I think maybe sometimes I do that for the sake of, I just want that person to feel heard, loved, and so I will I will allow them to just vent all that negativity, and then I don't know.
Can be hard to let that go.
Yeah, I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. I'm getting there.
I know a good friend that I had before a while ago, was maybe 15 years ago. She told me, I just imagine like I have an impenetrable bubble around me everywhere I go, everywhere I walk, and nothing really goes inside that bubble. So it doesn't really matter what anybody says or negative kind of energy they're throwing at
Yeah.
you. It's kind of like, or I imagine it like a light bubble, like a light shield all around you. And so
I like
everything's
that.
kind of bouncing off of it. And it can even radiate light from the bubble
Mm.
to even expel things as they're coming towards you, even before they get to you.
Oh, I
Like,
like that. I
and
like
it's
that visual.
the visual of imagining that radiating out, and then putting
Mm.
that. I do that, putting that around my child, or around people that I love too. Like, and imagining that they have one around them too. So whenever they're out in the world, everything is bouncing off of them.
Just like Bella Swan.
What is Bella Swan? She have a
What is not Bella
light around
Swan?
her.
Bella from Twilight. Why did I say Swan? Is her last name
Oh,
Swan? Jeez, I can't
that is a
remember.
cool name, Bella Swan.
I don't.
Like that.
Gosh, please don't come for me. I don't know her last name. Bella from Twilight, where she puts the little force field out.
Yeah, like that.
But
That's
ours
what I'm
is
talking
way
about.
cooler.
That we have the ability to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And imagine, and like
Hmm.
let our shoulders drop a little bit, and
Hmm.
just
Yeah. I really I sometimes I want somebody just to follow me around and be like, okay, Rochelle, drop your shoulders. Cause I don't even realize you said drop your shoulders. I was like, oh yeah, I do need to drop my shoulders. I'm getting real excited here. Or you just talk me. I don't. It's hard for me to be aware of that I'm actually holding a lot of stuff in my body. Like I know it happens, but I need a coach to be like, take a deep breath.
yeah, remember to breathe.
Relax your neck. Yeah.
Yeah, drink some water.
Your shoulders around your ears, lower
Yeah.
them. Can we
That's
hire
right.
somebody to do
We
that?
all need that. We need like an app that will go off every few seconds. Look around, look away from the computer, blink
Oh yeah.
your eyes, all those.
Yeah. My Apple Watch tells me to breathe, but I just go, oh, I don't have time.
What? Stop talking to me. Like, no, not now, not
Yeah.
again.
How do I turn this notification off?
Oh, I want to
Oh,
dive into the next one, Rochelle,
okay.
about your childhood story reflecting why you do what you do. This is usually one of my favorite ones that I feel like really reveals a lot of times. Well, from what I've seen with being a parent too, and myself, is that we come into the world with certain traits, or maybe
Hmm.
let's call it a blueprint. And then
Yeah.
that blueprint is very unique for every person,
Oh
obviously.
yeah.
And those are traits that are not really changeable.
Yeah.
We might learn how to deal with them, or maneuver around them, adapt,
Hmm.
cultivate, create in different ways with those traits. And we may of course, add some to them. But I feel that we're not necessarily a blank slate when we come into the world. We have a
No
purpose and
way.
like
Yeah.
some kind of blueprint. And I found with this question that a lot of us were showing, they might have been layers upon layers at certain point in our life, that we needed to dust off those layers or peel them away to really see those traits again. But especially from a young age, we were exhibiting those. They might have been shot down. They may not have
Hmm.
been, they may have been misunderstood sometimes by the people around us, or they might have been exemplified and
Hmm.
amplified depending on our childhood. It's really fascinating that I've seen a pattern with that
I.
probably had a lot of those that we're exhibiting in our adult life through our
Hmm.
passions from a really young age.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I mean, I have 6 children, and I could, they're jumping around in your stomach. You have a daughter, they're moving around in your stomach. You can feel them. You kind of get a feel for who they are when they're in your stomach. Every single one of my 6 children are completely different from each other. And I could tell, like you said, this blueprint, what they came here
Mm.
to this planet with. I could get a sense of it even when I was pregnant with them. And it was really, really neat experience. And yeah, totally. Like, I mean, each of my children have like these things that, that I didn't teach them this. I didn't give them, they didn't get this gift or this, or this trade or this way of approaching life for me at all. Like this is something, like you said, it's innate. They had it already. It's really, really cool to see. It's really neat. Like when you say like your daughter's been really neat to be a part of watching them, like become who they, anyway. It's not the question you had, but I was just agreeing. Like,
I love it.
I
Yes,
totally love it.
I totally do too. It's
so cool.
And they're so lucky that you took that time to bond with them even before they were born.
Oh, well, yeah, I didn't have any other choice. They're attached. But so my as a child, I was I guess I was classified as shy, but I was very, now I can see is just I was very intuitive, and I am introverted for the most part or whatever, but I listened. I sat and I listened and I observed people. I observed behaviors. I observed like seeing, why are they doing this? Thinking about what's going on here, very analytical, and I was always getting a read on people. Like when so one of like instances of that's one of the memories that sticks out in my mind the most, we would all my aunts and uncles, brother and sister, we'd all go to my grandparents' house. I feel like we were there a lot when I was growing up. It doesn't matter. All of my cousins would be upstairs playing their games or whatnot. And I was downstairs sitting in front of the coffee table with all the adults around, just talking about whatever adults talk about, and I would have, just like one toy in front of me or a notebook in front of me. And I would just be observing and listening and taking in what they were saying. And then a lot of what I would do is I would find all the toys that the kids broke upstairs would find their way down. They would go, oh, look, we broke this or whatnot. And the adults would set it down on the table and I'd pick it up and I'd be like, oh, and I would try to figure out, how does this work? How can I fix this? And I would just be tinkering at it, trying to fix it. And, I like one of the things that I remember the most is like, there was this pop-up book and I was so proud of myself. There was this pop-up book, the thing wasn't popping up when they'd open the page. And so I was like studying, like, how do all the other pop-ups work? Like on the pages that we're working. And I'm like, analyzing it. I was like first grade, second, I was really young. And I'm just trying to figure out how this works. And so I'm looking at what's broken on this page and looking at what's different and figuring out how to fix it and how to make it work. And so I was able to fix the pop-up book and I was just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done. And so I've seen it carry on in my life as far as really understanding people and how things work. And seeing how it all works cohesively, but then all of the pieces, how to break it down, how to get it down to all its working parts and working pieces, and then reverse engineer it to make it this beautiful, working, functioning thing, like taking big ideas and really understanding how the little parts function to make this big idea work. But other
it's
parts
a huge strength.
Yeah. It's really fun because when I'm working with clients, they're like, I have this, I just know how to do this. I don't know how, I don't even know how I do it. I don't know how to give this information to somebody else. I'm like, I got you, my friend, because I can figure out how you're doing what you're doing. And I can piece out what it is you're trying to teach them, what they want from you, how you're doing it, and work it down into those little pieces. So then you can teach them and then they can replicate it and have the same competence. It's super fun. I love doing it.
It's super fun. And you were already doing it, like you said, when you were a kid.
Yeah.
breaking down, how is this working?
Mm-hmm.
How can I
And I
fix?
always had people coming to me all my life, like, as I was learning all different things, people were always like, how do I do this? Everybody naturally flocks to me. Like, I didn't set out a little, hey, a placard, hey, I'm your teacher, whatever, but I'd be in elementary, middle school, high school, college and beyond. And I always have people coming to me, teach me how to do this, teach me how to do this or that or this, or, so it's been, so I feel like they work really well together of just, oh, okay. And I don't know where this ability to help people understand and do things came from, but I'm going to run with it.
It's beautiful. So, Rochelle, if you were to start a brand new business today, what do you feel like are the top 5 things that you wish you had known before that you've learned along the way?
Like the top thing is, gosh, how do you hate the top thing? I want to say the top thing is just to show up, just to show up just as you are, how you are today, and it's enough. And if you just show up and keep showing up, it's gonna, I think that's like one of the biggest things that we need to do. I mean, this is one of the things I learned the hard way is like, there were times where I wasn't showing up. And it's like, if I just show up, that's when everything just starts to work out. To trust yourself, believe in yourself, make it fun, let it be easy. And then, like, as far as like actual, like, what should you do every day? I think just do your top 3 income producing activities every day. Make it a non-negotiable. And then I think everything is just going to work out.
I love your mindset. Yes, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You're speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Yes,
I found that when I was like, I trust myself, I'm having fun, I'm following my heart, I'm showing up as how I feel like it, not necessarily how everybody's telling me I need to show up, but just show up. It's like, the best things happen when I do that. When I try to fit myself in a box and do things outside of that, then that's when it kind of gets dicey, I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, no, for sure.
Excited.
Yes, it does. It does. This is so fun for me to dive deeper with amazing entrepreneurs like yourself. And my whole life, I've been super inquisitive to the point where driving my mom crazy. Like, I was telling someone, the other day, and now it works out. I get to do that on my podcast, and I love being on the other side too. It's a fun experience to be interviewed too. I'm going to be in a show this month called Intuition Income, like using your intuition for producing more income in an online summit. That'll be fun.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, super cool. Sounds cool. And that's also fun to be on the flip side of the interviewee instead of the interviewer. My parents used to sometimes joke with me and call me Barbara Walters. Like, you just interview everybody.
Oh, that's so neat.
I felt I was always collecting information, and somebody needs to ask. I was judged a lot by teachers saying, put your hand down. It's not time for questions. Or you ask too many on every report card. It's like, talks too much, asks too many questions.
Asks too many questions. Oh, that's so dumb. Like, you need a new teacher.
It took
Jeez.
I heard that a lot from probably 95% of my teachers. To some point, finally in college, I read a quote that said, judge a person not by their answers, but by the questions they ask. And I was like, oh, that's my quote.
So validating.
Yeah. So validating, and clicked everything into place for me. And also another one that I used to, or that I still live by, like, people who ask questions are asking questions for almost everybody else in the room too, that maybe they don't want to go forward or
Yeah.
lead the way or ask. Maybe they're too embarrassed even to
Yeah.
admit that they still have that question, or they may tell
Yeah.
you
I
later.
needed you in my classes all the time. Yeah.
So those two viewpoints helped me to be more, to continue to be brave.
Good.
I was that kid that was always had their hand up. I'm like, what about this then though? And they're like, we're not there yet. Calm down or stop asking questions. Maybe they didn't know the answer.
Yeah, they probably
So,
didn't.
and then in the grocery store, like, how long have you worked here, to the cashier? And what I found, one more thing, I found fascinating, was taking a genuine interest in that person as a human,
Hmm.
that they remembered me the next
Hmm.
time we came to the same grocery store often. And
Yeah.
sometimes they would even turn around and hand me a whole pack of gum, or hand me something.
Hmm.
It's like, thanks for seeing me.
Yeah.
That's to translate. As an adult, I feel
Yes.
like that's kind of what they were saying. Like, you're the first person to see me all day as
Yes.
a human,
As a
because I
human.
asked them, how long have you been here? Well, when's your lunch break? What are you going to eat for lunch?
Hmm.
What do you like? What do you like most about working here? What, are you going to work here for a long time? So,
Yeah. I
like,
love it
wow, this is the
so
first
much.
person to ask me
Yeah.
any of these questions the whole time I've been working here. And sometimes my mom was embarrassed, but they would tell her, no, it's okay. Like, I just enjoyed this conversation a lot, and thank you for this. And she would always feel like, huh? I thought my daughter was making you uncomfortable, and it was the opposite.
Yeah, the exact opposite. That's funny. My favorite conversations are with strangers at stores. Like I love it's always so sad when they're like, "Oh, you're really asking me," and I love those conversations. We have go to the same grocery store and see the same people. I love it. I love that you I mean that really is who you are. You're you see people, you want people to be seen, you and look at you using your own superpowers of like asking all these questions and like look what you do, all the things you do. It's so cool. I'm so
Oh,
glad that
thank
you
you.
didn't listen to any of that bull crap about asking too many questions.
Put your hand
So
down. It's like,
yeah,
wait,
yeah,
what? How? I'm bursting. I have to, like,
yeah,
I'm gathering all this data so then I can make my own, like you were
yeah.
talking about off air, like for us to then make our own perspective. The
Mm-hmm.
more people we ask or talk to, then we can boil all those, bring
Mm-hmm.
them all into a pot and simmer them and process, and like, oh, well, I
Yeah.
feel this way about, or this is my perspective. And I feel like we don't really know often our perspective, or we may see things
Mm-hmm.
as black and white, but
Mm-hmm.
hearing a lot of different viewpoints
Yeah.
can then come into, oh, there's this way to do this and that way. Just like a math problem, there's probably a few different ways to get to the
Mm-hmm.
same answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that's the best way to interact in life, to be able to see people and understand what's really going on, because it's so easy to get stuck in our own way of thinking. But when we can see all the different perspectives and understand all the different people, all their different stories, the backgrounds, what brought them here, what led them to this decision or thinking or viewpoint or experience, it changes everything about how we view them, how we view ourselves, how we view solutions we're trying to come up with. I think it's just, we need better question askers. We need to have, in so many ways.
Yeah, the amount of information and lessons that people have, the wisdom I find when I have
Mm-hmm.
these kind of conversations, especially with my elders, like, wow, they have so much wisdom.
Yeah.
And then other people have told me, I didn't even know that about my mom or dad or that person until you asked that question.
Hmm.
And it just like changed my life to know that about them. I'd never thought to ask them that,
Oh, wow.
or that they felt comfortable to tell you
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, and they had never brought that up with me. I'm like, I'm just open, or I'm
Look at
holding space
you.
for them.
Yeah.
And then that's another part of it, is that holding that non-judgmental space, which we also do with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is no wrong or right answer to this, or a
Mm-hmm.
wrong path. It's about what's going to define their freedom or define their life for their success.
Mm-hmm.
That does take the ability to be non-judgmental and hold a lot of space for them and their ideas that may not be fully matching with our own. They don't have to be. It's
Right.
about them and their happiness and freedom and their values.
Yeah. I love it. That's a
Oh,
gift.
thank you. Yours too. Love the analyticalness. It's amazing. I want to move into that analyst or that analytical minds a little bit more in the top 3 tips that you have on scaling online courses.
Oh, geez.
This can be our last question if you would like, because this is your expertise, and among being an incredible person and into personal development, which is also a gift and strength that you have. This is where you really shine with your clients. So I would love to know your expertise on this.
Okay, so the top 3 tips for scaling your online course. Um, okay. There's so many things that we can do to make a really impactful transformational program or course for our I use course and program interchangeably because in my mind they're really the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
The point is the same thing. They want this transformation. They trust you to get them there. And however you deliver it in a course or a program or membership, it really is the same deal. There's so many things that we can do. I think one of the most impactful things we can do is make sure we are making it about them and not ourselves. So, of course, when you're thinking about some of the decisions, okay, what is the price, or how long should this course be, or how often am I going to show up? What's my energy? What's my time available to put into my course when I'm running it? Like how often can I show up in the course and not just be like dead or resentful or anything like that, or overwhelmed. Some of those kind of administrative decisions, yes, they need to be about you. But beyond that, if we can make every decision from there about our student, what is the transformation that they want? What's the transformation I can give them? Why haven't they gotten this transformation already? Because a lot of times people will come to you, maybe they want to be a photographer, for instance, and they've taken other photography courses. Why aren't they where they want to be? What's going on here? And really looking at our responsibility is to look at that and make it possible, and not only possible, but as easy as possible, to get them from, I don't get it, I can't get this, what's happening, to this beautiful transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, I mean, like, okay, great, that's really great, but really, when we look at it from this space of, I love them, I want them to have this transformation, how can I make this as easy as possible for them to get it? And if we really understand what's going on to prevent them from getting there, it really is going to tell us everything. It's going to inform every decision we ever make. how many coaching calls do I need to make? How long does this course need to be? How many lessons do they need? What kind of lessons do they need? Do they need a community? What do we do in the community? It's all comes back to, well, what do they actually need? And if we can stop looking at what is everybody else doing? What is all of this stuff? Who cares if somebody's doing it this way? They may not be giving the transformation, that might not be the best way. And maybe it's the best way for that solution, that problem, that person, but it may not be for your people. But when we do this, it really makes it so obvious what we do. So it's like
those are incredible questions.
Yeah.
Like I wrote some of them down.
Oh, cool.
Like, those are so great.
Yeah, I love them. It's part of my favorite process with my clients, as far as like, we really dial in to be like, what's going on here? Why is this the problem? Identifying all the pieces that can go into one concept. There's so much that drives, well, they need to post on social media every day. Well, there's so much more than just saying post on social media every day. And it's more like templates may not be what they need, or post ideas may not be what they need. Actually, that may not be why they're not posting every day. It may be something else entirely. So we have to look at everything that can be contributing to, why isn't this entrepreneur who knows they need to be doing this? Or why isn't, I could go on 100 examples. I won't.
Yes.
But that's where you get real transformation. Another thing is to look at your program as, and I kind of touched on this already, they kind of all bleed into each other, is your program needs to be this cohesive unit. Like, we don't look at the content, the coaching, and the community necessarily as three separate things. That we want them to all work and support each other. I'm signing to you. This is my ASL background coming out.
I love it.
The hand gestures are. Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna sign to you.
Does that mean cohesive?
No, not really, but it's the
coming together.
Mainstream.
I love
it. Taking two populations and bringing them together into one. That's really what it is. But it's taking. So when you're building your content and you're saying, okay, I want to do some coaching calls in here, or I want to have some experts come into the program, or I want to do some Q&As or hot seats, or any kind of those typical coaching call support things that you see, or I want this really thriving, engaging community. We want to see, how does we look at the content again, we're taking the perspective of, what does my person need? What do my people actually need? And then we use those all pieces to work together. Because I guess I've seen people go, they're creating their outline for their program, whatnot. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, if they need more, I'll just do a live in Facebook and I'll just give them the content there. Or I'll just talk about this in the coaching call and they can get that content there. Or I'll give them the basics here and I'll give them the more in-depth stuff in the coaching call. And that's not good, because your people, like, say they come in and you've been running the program for 6 months, a year, how many coaching calls is that? That's hours of coaching calls. People are not going to go back. People want the answer right now, so we don't want to use it as,
better to do, like, if that was important in a coaching call, maybe to do a 10-minute video in the course. It
needs to be in the course. So we want the coaching to extend or help the content be used. That's how we're actually coaching. We're not teaching. Teaching is in the content. Coaching, supporting, guiding is in the coaching. Like, now we're giving them an opportunity to practice. We're giving them a safe space to make mistakes. We're giving them a safe space to grow, to ask questions, to feel awkward, to get feedback, to know what's working, to know what's not working, and to use what you're teaching them. And then that community as well is an extension of helping them to feel safe, helping them to implement, helping them to connect and build their own accountability. And then that's just the way where you can really infuse your even more so of yourself and your time and your energy and love in there. So when we do that, we want to also we want our people to feel so loved on, even if we have like thousands of students, hundreds of students in your courses, we want them to feel like they're not a number, that they're valuable to you and that they matter. And so when I work with clients, we go, okay, what's the content? How is this going to direct how we're doing our coaching? How is this directing how we're doing our community? And then we fill in any of those other gaps of where are they going to be struggling? Where are they going to get stuck? Where do they need extra love? And then we plan, if we can plan all of that out ahead of time, as much as can, automate as much as you can, so you can still leverage your time, you can still scale and not be in your course, in your program, 8 hours a day, and you can outsource it, or you can systemize it if it's just you, but where they still feel like they matter. In my ASL courses, when I taught ASL I taught online since 2013, gosh almighty. But I created over 26 courses. I taught over 33,000 ASL students in that 9 years online. And equal to the amount of testimonials or case studies that I would get of people having massive success in their ASL growth, equal to that, which for me was actually felt like my bigger accomplishment. I had people come to me saying how seen and heard and loved and supported they felt. I met the neatest people, oh my gosh, you're like the queen of let's meet and connect with people and see people, right? But how incredible of an experience that is. And it really, in the end, it's more of a blessing to you as a coach. But it was like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm not trying to say, oh, look at me, I'm amazing, I just love people. But I built it. I did love those people, right? But I would have messages, emails, videos, replies being like, oh my gosh, this is like the kindest, most loving, supportive thing I've ever heard in my whole life, which is heartbreaking on itself. You're like, me, I'm your ASL teacher. You need more people in your life that love you. But because you want to pour that love and that service and that giving into your course, but I couldn't do that for 33,000 people individually, right? So I was still able to give that level of service and personalization and support, but still automating it. So how do you do that? You're like, well, what's the tip here, Rochelle? Like the tangible is you have to, again, you're approaching it like, where are they going to be stuck? Where are they going to be struggling? Why aren't they doing this? And then seeing where it needs to be, where you can put that into your program and any of the aspects that it can be in: coaching, community, touch points, the content, and then plan it out ahead of time and build those systems, whether it be you have automations to gathering data, automations to giving out emails, tips, reminders, encouragement, motivation, automation of finding feedback, gathering feedback, figuring out how to analyze that feedback, and then just use it to maintain your course and update it, seeing like, oh, okay, people are getting stuck here. Now I'm going to help them here. I kind of went all over the place.
It's all great information, Rochelle. Perfect.
You can tell I get real excited.
That's it. Yes, this is why I wanted to make sure we spent some time on this question. I get really passionate about,
I'm passionate about helping the business owner get their mission out there and make the impact that they were made to make, right? Like we need them. It's so beautiful. We need you. So I'm super, super passionate about helping them to do it in a way that is fulfilling and matches, and it's in alignment, and it comes from that place of their heart and their service and their love. And I just want them to just like do good things and help people, right? I'm super passionate about that, but I'm like equally passionate about the students that they're impacting. Like, oh, I just want the best for them too, so I can get real excitable.
I love your passion. Thank you for sharing that with us.
People have to like, I gotta turn my volume down. She's getting louder. I get louder and louder, more excited.
No, I didn't turn the volume down. I promise. It's perfect.
I was gonna say, they will have to. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. They will feel your passion too. And before we hop off, Rochelle, how can people find you online? It's Rochelle Ruby. Is that
RochelleRuby.com is my website, and on Instagram it's Rochelle R Ruby.
Okay.
There's the middle initial there in there. But yeah, that's where they can find me, and I love connecting with people and talking with people and brainstorming and making a plan to get people out of like, oh, I want to make a course. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to get my expertise out. I don't know, what would I say? What would I teach? Am I qualified to teach? How much is enough? How much isn't enough? And I love helping people figure that all out, because I just want you to just freaking make it already. And like do good things.
Make that impact, like you said.
Make that impact.
Scale that impact.
Scale that impact. Yes, because you probably have lots of other things you want to do as well. Lots of other ways. So you can free up your time to be involved in your community and your other passions.
For sure. Thank you so much, Rochelle. This is really fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.